Wetware Media presents Failure: Why Science is So Successful. Written by Stuart Firestein and narrated by Stephen Aulridge Jr. Copyright 2016 by Stuart Firestein. This recording is copyright 2016 by Wetware Media. For more information about Wetware Media and other great audio titles, please visit wetwaremedia.com. That's wetwaremedia.com. Introduction. Perhaps the history of errors of mankind, all things considered, is more valuable and interesting than that of their discoveries. Truth is uniform and narrow, but error is endlessly diversified. Benjamin Franklin. This book has failure written all over it. Literally, of course, but metaphorically as well. So failure will stalk this book, and it may, occasionally, win around. But if I get it right, you'll understand that those failures are an important part of the book, an absolutely necessary ingredient. A book on failure cannot just be a lecture. It must be a sort of demonstration as well. And so, now, by some sleight of hand, I have at least partly inoculated myself against failing by telling you that the theme of the book is how important failures are. Come to think of it, that's also a theme, that we must make and defend a space for non-catastrophic failure, a place where failure can happen regularly. This book follows, and is kind of an extension, of another book I wrote recently called Ignorance: How It Drives Science. As you can see, I'm carving out a nice, neat little niche for myself. It might seem like I am becoming a merchant of despair. In fact, I find both of these subjects to be uplifting. Although ignorance and failure are commonly thought of in a negative light, in science they are just the opposite. They are where all the interesting action is. This will be a key point in this book, that failure in science is fundamentally different from all the other failures you've read about in self-help and business books and articles in Wired and Slate. It is a kind of failure we don't appreciate enough. Not understanding this, not appreciating failure sufficiently, leads to distorted views of science and denies one a surprisingly useful but rarely considered version of failure. I hope that on this point I don't fail you. Science, the great intellectual achievement of modern Western culture, is often depicted as resting on pillars of great foundational strength and intellectual might. These pillars are variously identified as knowledge and reason, or fact and truth, or experiment and objectivity. Quite impressive. Students are regularly asked to approach science in the reverential way that these ponderous pillars demand. Perhaps such pillars are the correct depiction for textbook science, the stuff that is frozen in time and that generations of these same poor students have been required to master, by which we usually mean temporarily memorize. But then there is current science, the real stuff that goes on every day in laboratories and in minds across the world. Science rests, I am afraid to say, on two somewhat less imposing sounding pillars: ignorance and failure. Yes, that's it, the whole tremendous edifice. The costly research programs, the years of education, the dedication of cadres of PhDs teetering on top of ignorance and failure. But without these two, the entire business would come to a standstill. In fact, ignorance and failure are not so much pillars as engines that propel science forward. They make it at once a reckless endeavor and a conservative process, a creative enterprise composed of mind-numbing reams of data. I understand that this view of science, beholden to ignorance and failure, is probably not the common perception, and that few outside of practicing scientists will immediately recognize the truth of this proposition. But I bet that anyone who has made a career of science reading this now is nodding in agreement. Indeed, every scientist to whom I have mentioned that I am writing a
Sample complete. Ready to continue?